Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic:
Identical twins of Reddit who owns a pet after living separately. What was your pet's reaction when it saw two owners? I actually read a sad story about this a few years ago on Quora. A guy's identical twin brother had died and he inherited his brother's dog. The dog did not think the twin was his owner. Except, one day he happened to put on one of his deceased brother's pants. The dog came up to him and immediately started doing the wiggly happy dance until he spoke. And then it was a light switch turned off and he became a barely tolerated stranger again. It was actually kinda heartbreaking to read. Oh man, that dog must have felt its heart drop after that few seconds of happiness. Watch dogs woof inside. Our dog can easily tell them apart. Little children cannot. It's got to be a scent thing mostly, I'd guess. A dog's world is dominated by odor. When they sniff around a pole, they are determining what dogs have recently been there. A dog's vision is relatively poor, smell is amazing. Twins won't smell the same and won't confuse a dog. My husband is an identical twin. Watching our daughter and his brother's kids look back and forth between them and try to figure out why there are two men who look exactly like daddy is hilarious tears of joy. Same with my grandson. My husband and his brother aren't twins but look exactly alike. At 2 years old it's become very confusing for our grand, but it's super cute. My mother is one of twins. Linus, the cat I had as a child, was a complete worrier, having been traumatized at a young age and being fearful of new people. Yet he was the sweetest cat to us. Linus approached my aunt as soon as she arrived and cuddled up against her leg on that occasion. He was being scratched by her, and everything was going well until he noticed my mother start with very fast head turns back and forth, then race up the stairs and hide for hours. Poor infant. He was definitely mind-blown tears of joy. My dog was so confused at first. But eventually he realized that he had two people to give him twice the amount of cuddles and treats. Could he tell who was his real owner if you wore the same clothes as your twin? Pretty sure doggos can tell cause each person has unique smells even if they're identical, but I could be wrong. Not quite what you asked. But it reminded me of a funny anecdote I'm sure people will appreciate regardless. We had 3 dogs, 2 lab mixes and a Samoyed mix. So 2 blacks and 1 white. Easy to recognize. Then one day we had to look after a friend's lab because she had to go to a job interview or something. I can't remember why, but this meant there were now 3 black dogs and 1 white. They all ran through the house past the sofa table where the cat was lounging. He didn't care about the first lab mix he knew. He didn't care about the Samoyed mix. He didn't care about the new lab. He freaked out when the elderly lab mix he'd known for over 10 years walked past him because that was one black dog too many. I have a beagle and currently have a beagle foster as well. The foster wouldn't come inside or let me get close when I first picked her up. So I brought my dog out to say hi, in an attempt to convince her we're okay people. She was much more comfortable with my dog around, and I was able to grab her to take her inside. So from my cat's perspective, Beagle went outside and Beagle walked inside. He was at the door and immediately headbutted our foster and rubbed up on her. You could see the instant regret when he realized this was a beagle but not his beagle. He hissed at her and ran away. He warmed up to her later, but was offended at first. And people will claim animals can't count. So not a twin, but a daughter of one. We had a dog called Gromit, who started with my aunt and then moved in with us in her twin sister, my mum. He did get confused at first when he'd see my mum and auntie in the same room and one of them called him, but the confusion did only last for a couple of seconds. Then he would just get excited about cuddles and walkies lol. My mum also had a cat called Mitzi. She's a very shy cat and would hide from visitors. When my aunt went round, Mitzi hid, but once my mum left the room she came out and cuddled my aunt as if she was my mum. After that she bonded with both of them. Mitzi now lives with my aunt ever since my mum passed away. She's managing well but does sometimes seem to wonder why there's only one of them at times. I love that your dog's name is Gromit. He was the best smiling face, so daft though lol. My identical twins dog has never reacted to me in a way that implied that he was confused. The human babies are a different story. Human babies make it so obvious too by wagging their tails. Removed. Sounds about dog. I got a cat. Cat decided it only liked my dad. Period. No exception. Well, except for my dad's twin brother. Loved him as much as my dad but never confused them. This is the only human I like. Thankfully, there are 2 of him. Quote. That's such a cat thought. Yes. This servant will do. Make more please. You do know we start as babies, right? Nitrogen monoxide babies. Only dad. Quote. My cat and my quails know my voice. They don't really care about my face. Also, I have very long hair and my sister has short hair. They didn't care more than with any other new visitor. My cat ran away and my quails came to say hi. Can you tell me about how you keep quail? I live in a suburban neighborhood and occasionally see wild quail here. They're such cool looking birds. What's it like to have them as pets? I had a lot over the years and they all have very different personalities. Some are super tame and curious and run even towards a barking dog to say hi, while others stay away from everything that moves and panic easily. They are easy to take care of, but you should still keep them as nice as possible. They are often kept in horrible conditions and they absolutely do not deserve that. They are relatively quiet and you can leave them alone for a while. Unlike dogs. So they were the perfect pet for me as a student. There are different breeds that have very different requirements, but my Japanese quails are perfect for me. They can stay outside the whole year and they lay eggs. I have 5 quails RN. All girls, since roosters aren't as caring or useful as a chicken rooster. Quail roosters just stress the ladies, and they have 3 qm of space. The ground is originally for bunnies. Small wood pieces. And they have a large part with sand as well. Needed for feather care. They get special quail food. Very important. You can't use chicken food. And salad or herbs. They need food and water at all times. 3 sides of the cage have to be closed to avoid colds, but they also like to watch other birds. And people. They don't lay the eggs in nests, but they need branches or little houses to feel safe. And they like to stalk you from under the branches. You have to make the cage very predator-proof though, because everything wants to eat them. From predatory birds over foxes to mice and weasels. And they only live 3 to 5 years.